56. Class B. Submitted by witness on Sunday, November 9, 2003. Two servicemen from Hunter Army Airfield describe tent stalking incident on uninhabited Little Tybee Island. Year, 1976. Season, winter. Month, January. Date, 1/3 of January. State, Georgia. County, Chatham County. Location details. Little Tybee Island lies across Tybee's Back River, and slightly southwest. It is an uninhabited and wild barrier island. It has never been a habitat for man. People visit it, and usually only in summer. Nearest town, Tybee Island. Nearest road, US 80. Observed, I think it was 2nd or the 3rd of January 1976. I was active duty and stationed at Hunter Army Airfield. One of my army buddies and our wives went out to Little Tybee Island on a camping hunting trip. We had a nicely sheltered tent inland about 200 yards off the beach behind the dunes. The first night out was cold. It got into the high teens. The local forecast predicted record lows the next day and night. Our wives were cold and wanted to go in. We transported them back to Tybee, and we went back out for an afternoon hunt. By 1600 hours it was too cold to stay out. Our lab was coming out of the water with ice coating her. We returned to camp and had a warm fire going, ate an early supper, and retired early. It was too cold to sit up. At approximately 2200 hours I awakened to our lab growling softly. Jim was awake too. He asked me, Robbie, is your gun loaded? I assured him it was. We then heard a two-legged creature walking toward our tent from the rear. I say a two-legged creature because men walk differently from deer. At that time there were no deer or hogs on Little Tybee, although now there are. The creature stopped approximately 30 to 40 feet from our tent. Our tent was in a small valley, and wouldn't be visible to someone coming from the backside of the island until they were upon it. There was a minute or two of complete silence. Even my lab was extremely quiet. She acted scared for the first time I had ever seen. There was then a whooshing sound of something large whirling through the air. It struck our tent with a tremendous whump. The dog went nuts. We both unassed the tent with our 6-volt headlights on and our shotguns at port arms. I caught a glimpse of something very dark colored and man-sized running towards the backside of the island. I noticed an odor that I can only describe as a cross between gray fox and civet cat. In the air, we ran after it out to the edge of the open marsh. It clearly can run faster without lights than we could with lights. I never got close enough for a positive visual. There is nothing on the backside of Little Tybee, except miles on open salt marsh, tidal rivers and creeks, and dozens of smaller hammocks and small islands. No man could or would have exposed himself to that marsh in those temperatures. The marsh itself was frozen hard, but the creeks weren't. Under those conditions a man would perish in minutes if he got wet in salt water. We checked the only other boat landing on the island, the creek entrance on the northeastern end of the island. There was no boat or evidence of one being there. We walked the entire beach looking for prints, or other boats, and we were the only boat on the beach. We discussed the incident a while and concluded that we just may have had a Sasquatch encounter. At the time I felt that this was unlikely as all the encounters I had ever heard of was in the Pacific Northwest. Over the years since I have come to realize that the Bigfoot enigma is worldwide, in all wild places. Also noticed, the following year we returned on another duck hunt. I had my same lab, and my buddy had one of her 9-month-old pups. We were giving the pup working knowledge. Using her mom. The weather was fortish, wet, miserable, windy, great duck shooting weather. We were taking a lunch sleep break during a hard rain. The dogs were left outside to wander the island. We were awakened by the two dogs barking ferociously. The barking ended with a sharp whine. Soon the older lab was at the tent begging to be let in. She was trembling in fear. Her pup appeared a minute or two behind her. We passed it off as them barking at a passing boat. An hour later we were awakened by the pup. She was in a grand mal seizure. She died soon after that. Both my buddy and I are skilled and experienced army medics. I had 2 tours in Vietnam. He is a PA. We carefully examined the dead pup for snakebite, gunshot wounds, or any other visible causes of trauma. We found nothing. We buried the pup on the island. I have never returned to Little Tybee since then. There is something there that the dogs feared, enough to kill one. Other witnesses, my hunting partner, sleeping. Other stories. No, I have not discussed this much with others. Time and conditions. 2200 hours. Dark, no moon. Calm, extremely cold night. For SGAR temp went to -6 that night. A state record low. Environment. Live oaks. Stunted by weather, but many over 300 years old. Bay shrubs, etc. Ocean frontage to eastern side. North and south ends blocked by tidal rivers. Backside tidal marsh to mainland. Follow-up investigation report by BFRO investigator Matt Crute. This case is an intriguing one, due to the remote location of the incident, the unique terrain in which it occurred, and the sub-freezing temperatures that the incident took place in. The approach of the animal is consistent with other Sasquatch reports, in that it stalked the two men's camp in total darkness. It approached from the forest, and it threw a large stick or branch at their canvas tent. The hunters pursued the animal, which moved incredibly fast without the aid of artificial illumination through the dense woods. The hunters were never able to get close enough to the animal to make a strong visual confirmation. They surmised that it was very large and bipedal by the nature of the sounds it made during its retreat. The hunters were also able to confirm that there were no other boats at the boat ramps and boat-accessible beaches. The behavior and maneuvers that the animal displayed, bipedal locomotion and stick throwing, coupled with its ability to withstand sub-freezing temperatures and frozen wetlands, suggests that the creature was indeed a Sasquatch. Little Tybee Island is considered a pure, uninhabited wildlife haven. There is an abundance of food on the island to sustain a large omnivore. About BFRO investigator Matt Crute. Matt Crute grew up in the mountains of northeast Georgia, and has been conducting active Sasquatch research for several years in various parts of the country. Matt has organized the following expeditions: North Carolina 2007, South Carolina 2007, North Carolina 2008, Georgia 2008. Expedition organizer, Washington, Cascades. 2008 Washington Olympic Peninsula, 2008 Georgia 2009. Expedition organizer, Washington, Cascades. 2009 Washington Olympic Peninsula, 2009 Oregon 2010. Expedition organizer, Washington Olympic Peninsula, 2010 Georgia 2010. Expedition organizer, Oklahoma 2011. Expedition organizer North Georgia 1, 2011. Expedition organizer, North Georgia 2, 2011. Expedition organizer, Arkansas 2012. Expedition organizer North Georgia 2013. Expedition organizer North Carolina 2013. Expedition organizer. Matt is a trained visual tracker. During the summer of 2007, Matt co-instructed a tracking course for BFRO members in the Southeast. In 2009, he co-instructed an updated version of the same course for BFRO members in Utah. He currently lives in Northeast Georgia. He can be contacted at georgia@bfro.net.